the 44th week of these biweekly sessions, and very helpful. Received some nice comments about doing these. And we get into some of the details of the new stimulus that just came out December 27th. There's some great updates and clarifications on several of the aspects of that stimulus, and we'll talk about those so that you can be better educated and pass that information along. We are all available after or anytime during the week, so our contact information to communicate with us will be posted down below. We'll ask everyone to do that, and we welcome the chance to talk with you after. So if you have questions or you want clarifications, just let us know. These are also recorded, so if you want to pass along the recording, they're all posted on the Chamber's YouTube site. You can go ahead and copy that link and send it to someone that you think might be interested in some aspect of the financing, especially because a lot of people are interested in that piece of it. I did want to mention that the governor, I don't want to steal any of your thunder, Susan, but people ask me, how do I know about stuff before other people? And one of the simple things you can do, all of us can do, I just happened to do it early on in this crisis, was I went to mass.gov /COVID live. And I put in my cell phone number, and I get a notice probably 3 times a week when the state is communicating something is opening up or some change is happening. I usually get it before I see it on the news. So I might just get it an hour or 20 minutes before, but I do it comes right on my phone. So I have a chance to look at it and review it and have it and forward it on. So I'd suggest if you're interested in being in the know, go to mass.gov /COVID-live. Is that right? Live. And you can just register your cell phone number and you'll get these regular posts from the state. I also wanted to mention Trust the Facts, Get the Vax. That's a new campaign the governor announced just a couple hours ago. They're really concerned that people are shying away from signing up for these vaccinations for a variety of reasons that maybe are not completely accurate. As we know, the internet has a lot of information, probably half of which is bad information or speculation or people's fears personified via online websites and questions. So, the governor responded to this by creating a new campaign called Trust the Facts, Get the Vax. And it really does address a lot of the questions that people have about whether they should get the vaccine or not, and some of the misinformation and what they know and what they don't know, quite frankly. I mean, many people are citing that the vaccine is not, didn't go through the traditional process and all of that. The reality is that, this is SARS-2. SARS-1 was a number of years ago, and there was a lot of federal money put into a time and a process that developed pretty far along a vaccine, because they thought SARS-1 was going to be much more catchy, more like a pandemic than it was here in the US. And so the point is, a lot of these vaccine distributors and manufacturers had a head start. They pulled all that research down and they started back up, and that enabled them to shorten the timeline. So when I hear people talking about maybe it's not safe because they did it so quickly, I think that you'll see the science that the governor presents in his website is pretty solid and tells you, tries to explain to you why. Obviously he got it, and many people are getting it, and he's advising that you get it. It can get us all back to work and back to our economy and more normalcy the more people get it. So with that said, I see the mayor is with us and Eli's with us, and hi Mayor, how are you? And we have Susan with us. So I don't know if Margaret's joining us today. Do you know?
She is sort of telecommuting at the moment, and she may or may not be able to have a connection. So she's trying.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. We know you're here, and so you can cover anything that any questions. So I do see the Q&A is down below. I see people starting to put questions in the Q&A in the chat. So I ask all of our panelists to kind of take a look at those and answer them if you can. And anything you can't, maybe we'll just throw out open to everyone at the end. Do want to just mention too, Senator Brady called me just a little while ago. He's very happy with the number of Brockton businesses who received the MGCC grants. They, I think Susan will probably get into it, but the state was able to fund 50% of the most recent applications. So a lot of people received funds, many in retail, especially eateries, restaurants, and the like. So it's really nice to see that much money's gone out. And I'll cover basically whatever isn't covered on some of those fronts. So he just wanted to let people know, if you need assistance, to reach out to Senator Brady. He'd be happy to follow up and put his staff on it. And he was kind enough to call me earlier just to offer that. He's in a briefing of his own right now. So with that said, I want to introduce the mayor of Brockton, Robert Sullivan. It's always good to see you, Mayor. And,
hey, Chris.
I know there's a lot going on. And again, I saw the photos of the Shaw Center. It's great to see that utilized in such a way. What can you tell us about what's happening?
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you to Susan and Eli, and of course, Chris and Margaret and the chamber as a whole, week in and week out. Now it's every other Friday, but the value that we share and best practices is extremely helpful. So let me just start with letting you know about the metrics and the data. So we actually lost some additional folks overnight. We're at 373 dead in the city of Brockton, 70 new cases reported today, 11,320 cases total overall, and current active cases 2,520. So I just got off a call with the VA hospital and Good Sam and Signature. So the census at the hospital right now, 57 inpatient, 9 are still in the ICU. So that's the metrics. That's the sadness that we get every day. But the good news is the vaccine rollout. So again, I've been advocating and working diligently with Senator Brady and Rep. Cronin and Cassidy and Dubois to try to get a state designated site in Brockton. And that may or may not happen. But I do know that we've been utilizing Brockton High School. And today's a game changer, because in the Red Calf at Brockton High, we have over 150 shots in the arms of our 75 and older age group, which is the priority in phase 2. So it's unbelievable feeling. Also just want to let everybody know that if you're a veteran and you're looking for the vaccine, the VA hospital is actually providing that. You could call 1-800-865-3384. And again, we'll get that out to Chris as well. Signature, if you're affiliated with Signature Hospital, Brockton Hospital, they have vaccines. And also Good Samaritan Medical, if you're affiliated with that, if your primary care is, you can contact both local hospitals. And again, what Chris just talked about is a game changer for the Shaw Center. So as you know, Sue Joss and her team, Dr. Maria Celli and everybody at Neighborhood Health Center has been just a wonderful advocate and collaborative partner with Brockton. We were doing the drive-up testing at Brockton High, and then we had a pivot over to the trailers at the Shaw Center. And then on Monday, we were able to reopen the Shaw Center. We utilized close to $750,000 of the Federal CARES Act money to get it. It's not ideal in terms of, it's not the finished product that we're going to get, but it is a heck of a lot better than it was before I took office, and we're going to continue to make it a showcase. But for right now, we're bringing the folks inside from the trailers, and they're going to be able to multitask. Right now, they're doing testing. It's just one of the Stop the Spread sites. The other one's over at Massasoit, and they're going to next week start doing vaccines for their patients. But they've also helped us at the high rises, at the Brockton Housing Authority high rises. So our partners at Brewster Ambulance has been a wonderful advocate as well to help us. So it's all hands on deck, Chris, in terms of still battling COVID-19 and wearing the masks, but the vaccine is a game changer and a lifesaver. So we need to really maximize the effort. In terms of what's going on in Brockton, if you're driving around right now, Hollywood is here. Regent Parkway has been turned into Times Square. DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and Meryl Streep and some of the A-list Hollywood stars are in the City of Champions. They filmed last night. They'll film again tomorrow night. Tonight was canceled because of rain, but if you do drive around, you will see NYPD cars in Brockton. Those are props. You'll see the old Enterprise building owned by Trinity that now looks like Times Square with outdoor TVs, and it's awesome. We're being compensated. They're utilizing our restaurants. It's really a win-win situation. Again, AMC is still doing their series in Brockton as well. And I know for a fact they're utilizing a lot of Brockton restaurants for their staff and their, their stagehands and the like. So we will have another Hollywood production later in the spring. I won't share that yet, but again, it's this is really good endeavors. And And again, the construction doesn't stop. You know, I had a call yesterday with someone, again, interested in investing in the City of Champions, and I welcome it. And we have a call again this afternoon with the BRA and our city planner to strategize, plan, and our consultant, April Anderson, who, Chris, you've been working with, and I thank you for that. At the end of the day, my view is that we need to continue our efforts together, market Brockton, that was in my State of the City the other day, and really leverage the wonderful connections and relationships we have, that the chamber is paramount to that as well. So thank you, Chris, for what you do.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. So on the vets, if you're over 75 and you're a veteran, should you call the Veterans Affairs or go to your local doctor?
Yeah, no, you can call the VA. You can call that,
Yeah.
again, it's, I'll give it one more time. It's
Yeah.
1-800-865-3384. Again, 800-865-3384. They are actually doing, they have 500 vaccines tomorrow at the VFW in Whitman. You do not have to be a Whitman resident. You only have to be a veteran affiliated with the VA hospital. Again, that is an option tomorrow on Saturday. So if you call that number and you're a veteran, they'll help you. If you are homebound, they are actually going to be doing mobile right to your home to give you a vaccine as well. And our friends at Brewster Ambulance is going to be incorporating the same thing to our seniors that are homebound. So we are going to work with the quantity that we're giving. Brockton receives Board of Health every Monday. We requested 3,000 vaccines last week. We got 200. Not what I want, but we're going to make do with what we have. So again, if you're a veteran or if you're a senior, please call us. We also have an online pre-registration form now, brockton.ma.us. It's information, but it's really a game changer. If you don't have access to a computer, you can always call my office, 508-580-7123, 580-7123, and we will help you. And our BEMA and our Council on Aging is also being diligent to compile a master list. And when we get the vaccines, we're going to get them in people's arms and save lives.
That's great. So just for my clarity more than anybody, in Whitman, that's fantastic, 500 doses. Do they have to call and have an appointment?
They do. They do have to pre-register, my understanding. I spoke to the doctor at the VA today. So again, if you're a veteran and you meet the phases, please call that number. They can give you more information. Also on the city website that I have, we posted it. So check it out. And again, if you're a veteran, they're going to be doing these on a regular basis. I know that. I also want to thank Councilor Jeff Thompson, City Councilor, who served in the Navy, who spoke to me yesterday. He's working diligently as well to get the shots for the vets.
So just to be clear, so folks don't get confused, you have to still honor the phases. So you have to be 75 years old and a veteran. You can't be just a veteran, correct?
That's my understanding for the VA. Yes, that's my understanding. Now,
Okay.
we are, again, at Brockton High today, we're still doing some catch up for some phase 1 folks that might have missed some other ones. But again, in phase 2, the priority right now is age 75 and older. That's the priority set by the governor. And I do want to thank the Baker-Polito administration relative to their declaration of changing from 25% to 40% capacity for indoors. That's going to really help our struggling businesses, and I applaud them for that endeavor.
Yeah, thank you. I know the governor of New York just announced that they're going to start allowing, I think March 1st, groups of 50 to 150 in function halls with all of the protections in place. So that's big for a lot of venues in our region, like the Canoe Club and the Lombardos and so on and so forth. It's going to be a game changer, as you say. Massasoit, there was an article about Massasoit. Is that back open?
Yeah, so they had closed, right? Fallon, who is the agent administering the vaccines, needed to kind of pause just to try to figure out what they're doing in the winter months. DPH and Fallon reached out to my office, and it's going to be back on track. It was supposed to be back on track by today. I haven't been over there yet today. And again, that's Stop the Spread, that's Drive Up. And I want to thank our friends and partners at Massasoit that's hosting it. It's on their campus. But Stop the Spread with Neighborhood Health Center is both at their main office on Legion Parkway and again, now at the Shaw Center. And again, that's if you want to get tested. I got tested twice in the last 2 weeks, and I was up there and got it done in 2 seconds. They don't do the brain scrape anymore, right? They just do the gentle one. And one other thing about the Shaw Center is because we as a Brockton Public Schools will be pivoting to a hybrid. We've been almost a year now, 100% remote, but our students of special interest and special needs have the ability to go back hybrid on Tuesday, the 23rd of this month. And then March 1st will be kindergarten, 6th grade, 9th graders. We're going to be leaving our facility at Brockton High in the Red Calf to to co-locate at the Shaw Center with our friends at Neighborhood Health Center. So again, we will be doing vaccines out of the Shaw Center on the city side and also Neighborhood Health Center as well in the near future.
Okay, great. Now the movie set is really extraordinary. I was in my office yesterday looking down on, I think it was 60 trailers, took the whole L Street lot there, full just of people. And then they were up in the next building that was just taken down on Lincoln Street. That whole area was full of tents and portable toilets and that type of thing. So how many people are on the set? Do you have any idea? Or
They've kind of kept
what is
that
the
a
name of the production?
little
Have they named it?
cloak and dagger. I will say though, for about
Okay.
4 months now, we've been having regular calls, also to talk about protocols for health and safety under the COVID standards. The building that was taken down, the old telephone company now is their catering facility up there. And again, they're getting tested. A vast majority of the extras have actually been in hotels, social distancing in hotels. They get tested every single day, the extras. They weren't able to bring on Brockton extras like they did for Detroit, and they apologized because of the protocols. So most of these are SAG members as well. So, we are being compensated for them being here, and a lot of businesses are as well. So if you think about it, when AMC compensated, a lot of businesses in the Campello, and now this is in the downtown area. So things are moving. And I know it's a little bit of a nuisance for people traveling, but at the end of the day, this is a good thing for the city of Brockton.
Absolutely. Did they say the name? I know when they were filming Detroit, they kind of gave it another name until they
Yeah, no, this
released
is
the
called
name
Don't
of
Look
this.
Up. Don't Look Up.
No, okay, don't look up.
Don't Look Up, and it's about a meteor coming to demolish Earth.
Great. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And we're looking forward to the new one too that you talked about. So, all right, so we're there was a question here, Mayor, and I think this is kind of a jump ball. How do we help the restaurants, Cape Verdean, Hispanic, Haitian, and City? I'll tell you, I did announce that the chamber has extended hours for Teresa Lobo Alban, and she is Portuguese speaking, and she's an accountant, and she is willing to talk to any business for a few hours to talk with them about their situation and some of the resources that she's familiar with. She's been just very, very important to the chamber in terms of us accessing a lot of what you're accessing. We're also sending her through all of the programs as she's being employed by us, but she's doing it as like a participant, as if she were a business owner, so that she can see and experience and know what you would go through if you signed up for a particular program or whatnot. And then she would be able to convey that to you in a more, a comprehensive way. So I don't know if there was, I know.
Yeah, I just
BRA
want
is
to
doing quite a
applaud
bit.
the chamber for making that hire. I mean, she's a game changer and she's going to help so many people. At the same time, we're piggybacking the BRA. We're actively recruiting to bring on someone, again, that speaks multiple languages, that reflects the city of Brockton, to help on business assistance. And again, between Mass Hire and NeighborWorks, it's all hands on deck, rolling up the sleeves. And we all appreciate the fact that there's hardworking, some are generational businesses that have been catastrophically damaged by COVID. So, the tools in the toolbox are there. We need to utilize them in a wise way. And I just applaud the chamber for making that hire, because even though it's going to help, the chamber as a whole and affiliated partners with the chamber, it helps the city and neighboring communities as well. So Chris, thank you for doing that.
Thank you. We're very fortunate that we have her right now, and that she's so available, and that she speaks Portuguese fluently and writes it. So it's very impressive. Thank you. So let me just move over to Susan Whitaker from Mass Office of Business Development. Hi, Susan. How are you?
Chris, I'm well, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. And I know you've got a lot of information because you were in the same briefing I was. What can you share?
Yeah, well, we can start off with some unemployment information. Secretary Acosta shared the weekly claims with us this week. There were about 2,400 PUA claims this week, which were down about 1,000. And there were
what is PUA?
PUA is pandemic unemployment assistance. And 19,700 UI claims, which are down about 1,000 as well. So, I guess that's somewhat positive indicator. However, they have experienced just unbelievable volume with their call center and their online presence. And she kind of put it into context by stating that, normally, last year of 2019, from January to December, they had about 250,000 applications, and in 2020 they had 3 million applications. So it just kind of puts it into perspective with the volume that they're dealing with, that they don't normally see. So I think she mentioned that they have, between federal and state benefits, have expended in 2020 $22 billion in benefits, whereas the previous year it was 1.4 billion. So, a significant increase. They're really going to need help in getting people back to work. And the other thing that she mentioned too were what the breakdown of claimants were right now, that 54% of the claimants are women, 20% are Latinos, and 16% are Black. So, there's a significant disparity of who's really being impacted right now. And so we're really going to need to be addressing that moving forward. So the other piece we talked about were the Mass Growth Capital funds that were put out specifically for sector-related grants. Those were the restaurants, bars, caterers, those businesses that they were directed towards. Those grant announcements were made this week. Over 4,044 grants were awarded. That's $174 million went out. 1,200 of those were minority-owned businesses, and about 2,000 of those were women-owned businesses. So that does not mean that if you have not received any notification, that does not mean if you've put your grant in, that doesn't mean that you haven't been awarded. They are still reviewing the applications, and as a matter of fact, they're going to be taking a look at some applicants who may have missed some documentation or didn't fill out the paperwork properly, and they're going to be reaching out to those individuals so that they may have an opportunity to submit and potentially be funded as well. So, that is not a done deal. So no need to despair if you haven't heard. They're still working through. They've had over 8,000 applicants, and so they're still working through that. So they want to make sure there's also addressing any non-English speakers too. So they're working with translators as well to ensure that those applicants our needs are being met, so that nothing's falling through the cracks there. Other areas that were addressed were, getting back to unemployment insurance. The PEUC 13-week extension for unemployment, those checks went out live last night. So that was some good news, but there's still a delay right now on the mixed unemployment compensation, or the MEUC. And that's the unemployment insurance for those individuals who are kind of meet the middle, where they're 1099 workers, but they've done some 1099 income, and they've done some UI, so they could be eligible for an additional $100 benefit. But I guess the paperwork is so convoluted that they're really having a difficult time operationalizing it through their office. So the plan is that they'll probably have it rolled out by the end of the month. And so likely, if you're a candidate for something like this, you're probably going to just receive one lump check for $1,100 instead of getting it like weekly as it was anticipated, just because it's a very clunky program. And all of these unemployment programs are ready to sunset for March 13th, unless the Biden administration does an unemployment extension, which many people believe that's very probable that there will be an extension, but we don't know just yet that's happening. I don't know, Chris, am I missing anything? I was taking lots of notes.
No, that was pretty good. That was really
Okay.
good. What I would say is she did say I know you're being positive, but she did say, the Secretary of Labor said there are 250,000 jobs that will probably never come back to Massachusetts. that are currently lost. It doesn't mean they won't come back in a different form or in a different industry or a different role within a company. And she was asking private companies to look at how they can become more innovative and maybe add new divisions or research and development, look at areas that they could possibly expand, recognizing that some folks probably, again, those job titles and areas have gone away and that they probably will not return. She also talked about career tech initiatives with trade schools, right? And she talked about really fully employing trade schools like Southeastern Tech to be in operation 18 hours a day. So when the students aren't there that are traditional aged, that adults could get retrained from some of those industries that have either gone away or just job titles that have gone away, and maybe get trained in some of the areas where jobs are plentiful and need people who are skilled in HVAC and a lot of technology type fixing cars and things like that are more complex than they used to be. She also talked about the PFML. So I don't know if you wanted to touch on that, the Paid Family Medical Leave, which is brand new.
Act, right? That's also available for if someone in your family is sick, that you can apply for paid family medical leave. So it's a new law that was enacted, and it's something where individuals can take advantage of it, and it's something too where we've been asking businesses to make sure that they register a representative from their company, so that when someone does file a claim for PMFL, there's a way that we can go through and help work through those claims. So it's a brand new benefit for Massachusetts employees. And to be frank, I'm not as up to stuff. I'm not as up to snuff on it maybe as I should be, to be quite frank.
Well, it is brand new, and there'll be another phase for family members to access it July 1st. So this is all brand new. It was passed 2 years ago, but it actually started in real time January 1st for the employee, and then the employee's family. If an employee family member is sick, then they can get paid through kind of a similar unemployment type plan that was put into place. And it's called PFML. Paid Family Medical Leave for employers and their families. So this is innovative. It's controversial in some regards, but it is law and it is in place. So
there's one other benefit that I'm not sure everyone knows about, but I wanted to kind of bring to people's attention, that there's the Mass Internet Connect, and it's sponsored by the Mass Broadband Institute at the Mass Tech Collaborative. And it provides subsidies for broadband and hardware like Chromebooks for unemployed Massachusetts residents. So participants have to be unemployed and looking for work and be reconnected with a Mass Hire Career Center, but they may be eligible to receive some of these benefits. So I'll put the link for that in the chat box.
Oh, that's terrific. And that's new to me. That's possibly free Chromebooks for people who are unemployed and looking to get, okay,
yep.
That's great.
Subsidies, yeah.
It's like a reimbursement, or is it a?
I haven't looked into it 100%, but it's I believe that's either free or reduced.
Okay, great. Yep. Thank you. We'll add that to the COVID recovery webpage. And as I mentioned earlier on, all of these resources are posted at the Chamber's website. That's www.metrosouthchamber.com. And there's a COVID tab, COVID Business Recovery and Resource Guide. And that all of this information is in there. In addition, we have a YouTube page that has all of these calls recorded in case you want to go back and just listen to something again or pass it along forward to someone. So thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. I know Margaret's on the road, so I'm not sure if she's
I'm not sure if she's dialed in or not.
All right, why don't we go to Eli? So we're delighted to have Eli with us.
Oh, I'm here. I can answer any questions anybody has, but I'll let Sue be the lead this week.
All right, thank you, Margaret. Appreciate that. So we're delighted to have Eli with us. There's so many questions now around the SBA and the stimulus. And quite frankly, I think all of us had questions, right? And as the weeks go on, there's been more and more clarification, and I've heard more and more concise information around timing and aspects. And just before Eli starts, I'll tell you the chamber was in a situation where we did not qualify for a PPP loan advance. And I think most people on these calls know that because I've talked about it. And we had the congressman and the US senator. We asked them each what they were going to do, and they actually put it into place. And so on the 27th of December, chambers were allowed. We did apply, and we were approved apparently in late January, and we received a deposit February 1st. So, and that was significant help for us. And then we were just told recently that as soon as those monies are expended, we would then, because we weren't eligible for phase 1 last year, we would be eligible for phase 2. So we could actually apply again, which was really news to me. I just learned today. So that may help, again, us, one small, nonprofit, but it may also be useful to a lot of folks on the call who are affiliated either with nonprofits or are part of small businesses that have not received any stimulus yet or any PPP advance. So we're excited to have you here, Eli. I know there's a lot of information, a lot of questions. How are you, and what's new?
Well, good afternoon, Chris, and thanks again for having me here. It is an exciting time to be part of the SBA, that I have to tell you. But, the excitement doesn't come without its challenges. So it's been a busy few weeks already, and we'd like to think that the $72 billion in approvals on PPP loans is making a difference, for the small businesses here in the Commonwealth and throughout the nation. So, the Labor Department put out some unemployment numbers, this week, and I do believe that the PPP has a direct impact on those numbers. Here in Massachusetts, you probably heard, myself or other people from the district office mention this. We have approved so far $2.25 billion in Massachusetts, which is a fraction of what we approved in the last 2 rounds of funding. But nevertheless, for a short 3 weeks of the program being operational, it's a sizable, dollar amount. Funds that are on the balance sheets of many small businesses who are now, looking to either bring back their full workforce or looking to expand in ways that perhaps their businesses were not able to before. And I want to thank the mayor and Susan and Margaret for sharing the updates from the local government and the state government as well. I think the Baker administration, some of the changes made with regards to many small businesses, and specifically our hardest hit industries, right? I think the timing couldn't be better. We're all thinking spring, although you look outside the window, it doesn't feel like it. But, I do believe we're turning a corner, and the timing of all these programs couldn't have been better. So quick update, not only on the PPP, but on our traditional loan programs. So our 7A, our Express, our 504 loan programs, again, at a time when no one wants to add more debt to their balance sheets, we don't want to talk about loans in the sense of the simplistic view of a loan, right? But these are opportunities, so starting February 1st, all new loans, whether it's, an expansion, whether it's, a new line of production, whether it's, consolidating some existing debt or buying, a real estate property for the business to operate out of. There cannot, there isn't a better time to do it. Rates are low. We're waiving fees. We're giving higher guarantees to the banks and the credit unions to make these loans, and on top of it, we're making the first 3 months of payments for all existing loans, right? And 6 months of payments for new loans.
New loans. Wow.
So anything approved between February 1st through September 30th, right, gets 6 months of payment made by the SBA, subject to a $9,000 a month maximum.
Wow.
So really impressive. As I said, it's an exciting time to be part of the SBA. When we share this information with small businesses on the phone, via the these webinars, I can see excitement in their faces. I can see, the gears start spinning and how folks are thinking what they're going to do, where they're going to take their business in 2 months, in 3 months, and 6 months from now, once we're out of this. So, For folks on the line, again, we did publish some new information with regards to our idle targeted advance program. So the idle advance is that up to $10,000 grant that was part of the CARES Act legislation. So the recent legislation decoupled the PPP from the idle program. So we are starting February 1st, we are proactively reaching out to folks who received an idle advance, but did not receive the full $10,000. So folks got $1,000 per employee up to the number of employees they had on, had reported on their application, right? So for those qualified businesses, we're splitting the program into two phases. I'm going to put on the chat room, a link to where folks can find this information as well. But we're splitting it into two priorities, as it's called. So the first cohort are those people who applied, received an idle advance, but did not get the full 10,000. So we're reaching out. The agency is going to be sending an email out to those individuals, making sure that they follow the instructions on that email and apply for the remaining balance, if eligible, that is, right?
So that low, moderate income?
So that would be low income, communities, right? Businesses located in low income communities. So that would be
Brockton
the first...
cover the entire city of Brockton or just some census tracts?
So it is going to be by the census tract that the Census Bureau has put in place.
Okay.
So we are developing the website now. We don't have it up and running.
When will that be open? A lot of people are curious about that, especially in the city of Brockton, because many businesses applied for that and didn't get the 10,000. They get 3 or 4 or 5. So that could be a big economic boost to businesses.
Absolutely. Especially for many independent contractors, many, Schedule C filers who, did not report a profit on their, Schedule Cs and tax returns, right? They probably were not eligible for a PPP loan. That's how the guidance reads on that. So this is really going to make a difference.
Is it nonprofits too, or just businesses?
So for the idle, the idle program, nonprofits would be eligible as well.
Okay.
But, it's only those who have already applied before December 27th.
Okay.
So those who did receive, an idle advance of whatever amount, less than 10,000, they are the first batch. The second batch is going to be those who applied, before December 27th, but after July 11th, which was the date we ran out of funds.
Okay.
So those individuals are the second batch. They will receive emails from the SBA. And in those emails, again, instructions as to how they can now apply for the idle advance if eligible.
Eli, will you share with us a actual one once it's released, so that people don't get confused with scammers and things, that type of thing?
Absolutely. Well, once we have more information, I'll share that with you for you guys to post on your website as well.
Great, thank you.
So another great program worth mentioning here on the call, which we have been receiving lots of questions about, is that Shuttered Venues Operator Grant Program, the SVO grant. So there is guidance on our website about it. There's an FAQ document similar to the one I just shared, and I'm going to put it on the chat as well. And so there is a lot of information, but the program has not rolled out yet. So we don't have a definitive date when applications can be received. So 2 things worth noting with it. First and foremost, if anyone on the call today, or anyone who may be eligible for an SVO grant, you need to obtain a registration with sam.gov. Sam.gov is a requirement for any entity that does business with the government. Anyone who receives a federal grant needs to be registered with sam.gov. So for anyone on the call today, anyone you think who may be eligible and who has an interest in applying for an SVO grant, start registering with sam.gov if you haven't done it already. So it's www.sam.gov. It's not an SBA website. It's administered by the GSA, the General Services Administration, and it's a process. Okay, so our district office is going to put together a webinar. We'll share the link with you guys once that's available. We're going to send a press release. It is important for entities to be registered because that could delay the process more than the actual application with the SBA. Okay, we've heard that is, there's a bottleneck with SAM.gov, and they're taking more time than what it probably will take to underwrite this, this program. Another thing to keep in mind is we did put a matrix in place that compares the different programs. So the SVO versus the PPP versus the targeted idle advance, that's also on our website. I'll share a link to that as well. So the one thing to keep in mind for folks, if you applied for a PPP loan in 2020 and received one, right, you would be eligible for an SVO grant if, an eligible entity. However, if you apply for a PPP loan now in 2021, whether first draw or second draw, right, that disqualifies you automatically for receiving an SVO grant. So if you think you may be eligible and you have an interest for an SVO grant, just do your due diligence, wait for the guidance to fully roll out before you apply for a PPP loan.
Is the SVO better? I mean, is it more money or?
There could be more money. So that goes up to 10 million versus 2 million for second draw PPP loans.
Okay.
So that's one advantage. The other thing that again is a one-shot deal. So it's a grant automatically. It's not a loan convertible into a grant, right? So PPP is 2 sets of applications. One to receive it, one to receive forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is for like properties like the Ritter Country Club, Mockingbird Conference Center, the Canoe Club,
museums,
the Fuller Craft Museum. They have a function hall there.
Yeah.
Wedding venues,
Zoos,
baseball stadium.
Exactly.
Would community theater groups be able to qualify, or
So
college and university theater groups?
So one of the requirements, and it's posted on those FAQs, is that these venues have to have fixed seating.
Fixed seating.
Seating, yeah.
Okay.
So that's one of the requirements. And again, there's a lot more information on that particular on that FAQ that I'm going to post just shortly.
Okay.
But again, if any questions, I'll try my best to answer it. Again, more guidance is expected on that, and the rollout, is we don't have the deadline for that just yet.
Okay, and it's mostly the venue, right? I just had a question from a DJ, photographer, videographer, the folks that were really devastated by this whole thing. Are they going to be eligible?
It is the venue, right? It is
Just
the
venue, not the.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
But that's not to say that those folks would qualify for other PPP and that type of thing.
Exactly.
Okay, that's helpful.
So that's that for me, Chris. And again, I do have a 3 o'clock that I got to jump out to, but I'll try to answer as many of the questions, if any, and I'll put all the information on the chat as well.
Okay, so it's interesting. We did have a chance to just listen to Bob briefly, Bob Nelson from SBA, and he talked about in the USA on this second draw PPP, 891,000 approvals, benefiting 73 billion businesses. He talked about 88% were under $150,000. So these, there's a lot of businesses getting funds.
So Chris, just to correct you,
Okay.
there is $73 billion.
Oh, but dollars. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense, right?
So
So 891,000 approvals.
Yep. Businesses.
Okay, $73 billion. Okay.
Yep.
I was writing too fast. I guess I didn't write dollars down, but yeah, that makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Thank you. And then the increase in Massachusetts, there was an increase in applications to previous rounds. He said
Yes.
almost $3 billion approved for Massachusetts businesses alone.
2.25 as of January
Okay.
31st, right?
Okay,
So
yeah.
maybe Bob's got data as of today.
Okay.
So the data that the agency published was effective January 31st. So there's an extra week of data that
Okay.
Bob probably included on that report.
Okay, yeah, because it was this morning. So, and 68% of all PPP advances this round were under $50,000. So
That
not a
is
tremendous
correct.
amount of money, but makes a big difference, and it's forgivable. It's a lot easierly forgivable than
So
previous.
one thing, Chris, about forgiveness, since we're on the topic, right?
Yes.
So we did make available the streamlined application form 3508S for simple, right,
Okay.
to all, first drawn and second draw recipients. So for anyone who got a loan, in 2020 and they have not asked for forgiveness, they can now use the simplified, form to ask for forgiveness. So no documents are required to be sent to the lender or the SBA, right? But that doesn't mean that the borrowers do not need to, to hold those documents, in their records.
Okay. All right.
So,
And there's also $2 billion in Massachusetts. That's what it meant. And looking through my notes here. Oh, I wanted to mention the employee retention tax credit, ERTC, approved for retroactive federal side of your payroll taxes, are recoverable up to $5,000 per employee for 2020, up to $7,000 per employee per quarter for the first 2 quarters of 2021. This is a lot of money, folks. If you're an employer and you have 5 employees, you could possibly access $25,000 from 2020, and then another, 14 times 5. Total, you're looking at about $100,000 for an employer who has paid in federal taxes for payroll taxes and eligible to get them back. Now, we're going through it as a chamber. We're going through it right now with our payroll company. We use Heartland. We asked them, gee, we heard about this. Are we eligible? They said yes. They got us the forms. We got them the data back from our side. And we've been approved for the $25,000 credit from last year. I would encourage folks to talk to your payroll company about it. It's not always the CPAs at this point that are aware, but I will say that Jay Pike from Citron Cooperman sent us a commonly asked question and some links, and I think Emma posted it down below. So grab that link and take a look at it. This is as good, in my opinion, as any other SBA program, in the sense that they'll credit you whatever you owe for this quarter, and then at the end of the quarter, they'll issue a check for the remainder. So that's for 2020, by the way. That's going to help your year significantly. So great information, Eli. Let's see if there are more questions. I know you only have 10 minutes, so let's see what we have. I know you posted a few things, Q&A. How do we inform small businesses here in the city? That's from Pedro, who we know is a friend of the chamber. And Pedro, you let us know if you have ideas on that. We've got people available to talk, and we are trying to make the rounds ourselves on different calls and different committees where we're trying to spread this information. It's a lot of information. I've been living this for 44 weeks. I know all of us on this call, we're kind of getting it in pieces now, so it's easier for us to absorb it, and then the nuance changes each stimulus. But for someone hearing it for the first time, who's been like, how come I didn't hear about any of this? I haven't gotten anything. It's a lot of information and it can be overwhelming. So we're happy to sit down with them. Teresa will sit down with them for a couple hours. She can share the links with them. She kind of walk through the different programs and that type of thing. I see Ed Souza from Bluestone Bank is also asking, Eli, any idea on timing as to when the SBA will be forgiving the EIDL advance amounts that were not forgiven before? Oh, you're on mute.
sorry, Chris, I had to get away from my child.
Oh, okay, we understand.
Being wicked loud.
Okay.
So what I believe this individual is referencing is the remittance of the idle advances that were, deducted from the PPP forgiveness amount. So as of, December 27th, the SBA is no longer deducting any idle advances received. And for all those borrowers that were impacted, right, for all the borrowers impacted by the policy we had in place previously, okay, we are going to start making payments to the lender of record, right, automatically. So we're telling our lenders that perhaps they're going to see those deposits made on the bank accounts before any guidance comes out. So this is something that they've been working for a couple of weeks on. So
Would
to
this
give you an
happen in
example,
February or March or?
yes, it's going to be a matter of days, if
Imminent.
exactly. So what happened, right? Just to illustrate it, somebody who received a PPP loan for, let's say, $50,000, right? They were eligible for the full $50,000. They received $50,000. When they applied for forgiveness, right, they presented documentation for the full $50,000 to be forgiven. The SBA considered the idle advance and the PPP loan, right, a duplication of benefits under the CARES Act, right? Just the way the legislation was written.
Okay.
So they sent the bank only a $40,000 payment on forgiveness. So they deducted that idle advance of $10,000, let's say.
Okay.
So what's going to happen now? That borrower basically owes the bank $10,000, right? That they need to make payments on at 1%. So what's going to happen now? We're going to automatically going back, proactively, sending payments for the full balance that was deducted on the idle, plus interest up to the date of the payment. So these borrowers are not going to be responsible for any of those payments. The banks, and we're telling this to our lenders, the banks do have unilateral authority to defer payments, especially knowing, right,
Yeah.
that these were exactly idle advances, and it will be a matter of days or weeks at the latest.
Okay, that's great answer, Eli, for Ed Souza from Bluestone Bank. And then Bob Coster is asking about the payroll tax credit. So we have, Bob, a link down below if you want to grab that and call me. Otherwise, then I can provide you more information. But Jay Pike from Citron Cooperman wrote a little article and sent it to us with some links that will answer the commonly asked questions on the federal employee tax, payroll tax credit back to you for 2020 and 2021. So that's big. Let me just see if there's one more here. Is there a specific area of need to start a business in the city? That's a very good question. That is a question for Rob May and for, I think, Robert Jenkins. We can get you in touch with them. They've kind of done an inventory, I think, of businesses that are here and probably would be able to tell you specifically, what industries might be lacking currently in different parts of the city. So that's Robert Jenkins from the Brockton Redevelopment Authority and Robert May from the City Planning and Economic Development Office. So good questions. We're getting a lot of great questions. So in the chat, now I'm in the chat area. That was Q&A. I see in the chat area, Emma and Lexi have posted some really great information. I see Ann Fenton just posted some information offering free counseling from the Massachusetts Small Business Development Centers. And it looks like Susan wants to add something. Susan? You're on mute.
No, I'm sorry. I was just getting a video call from someone else.
Oh, okay. All right. We're all multitasking here. Okay. Trying to be attentive. Yeah, I know there's a lot going on here. I can hear my daughters yelling upstairs as well. Would vendors such as DJs, okay, we talked about that one. A lot of great information here, folks. We will be back 2 weeks from today. We'll also have Paul Harrington, who's a noted economist with Drexel University. He was with Northeastern University for many, many years. Many people might know him. He's going to talk about the impact of all of this on our economy and what we can expect. He's going to address some of the nuances that have occurred in industries we didn't realize would respond the way they did, which is real estate and the stock market, and what that all means, right, from an economist's perspective. And we're very fortunate to have him. We've had a relationship with him for many years. And when he left Northeastern and went to Drexel, we thought, oh, we just lost a huge asset. But when we emailed him a few weeks ago, he said, yeah, I'd be happy to talk to your members. And so that's great. He'll be with us on the 19th of February. As well, the mayor will be back, and Susan and Margaret and Eli and all of us. In addition, on March 5th, we will have a great multicultural panel of business owners, three business owners who are going to tell us a little bit about their story and how they arrived in business in the Brockton area, and some of the resources that they tapped into, either through fortitude or other aspects of building their business and being successful in the region. So we'll hope you will join us for both of those. Again, if there's other questions, let us know. Don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us. I know we're coming up on the hour. So I think with that, I'm just going to check our posts one more time, see if there's anything before we start the weekend. For some of us. It's Friday information. Yikes, have a nice weekend. Okay, that's Ann Fenn. Thank you, Ann. And then under Q&A, I feel like there's one more there that I missed. Ed Pedro. No, that was all that. So that's great. So that's pretty much a wrap. Again, thanks for being with us, and we hope to see you again in 2 weeks. In the meantime, check out the Chamber's website and our monthly newsletter. If you'd like to be on our mailing list, please let us know, and we will add you to our distribution list, weekly e-update. So thank you all. Have a great weekend, and enjoy the day.
Thanks, Chris.
Take care.